This Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Black Table Read. I am one of your
Hey,
hosts, Mr. Jarius Clyde, and to my right or to my left, I don't know how she looks on the screen, but is
I'm to
Miss
your right.
Lydia. To my right is Miss Lydia Aku. And now that we've had this moment, whatever I was feeling before we started the show, I'm feeling good. I'm
Look at
ready.
that.
I'm ready for the show. Let's get it. It's gonna be
Come
great.
on.
So.
Come on.
Welcome to all my first timers. We're excited that you decided to click and check us out. We do this every Tuesday at 7:30. We're a little late because me and Lady had to powwow and just talk about our day. And
Had to get
she
my
gave
brother
me
together, y'all. I had to
she
make
gave me
sure,
that big sister advice with
you
a little
know,
sprinkle of Jesus in there, with a little sprinkles.
come on now. Look, Will,
But
he's running, y'all. He said, won't
hey,
he, Will?
won't he?
Hey, won't
Won't
he
he?
do it?
But I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited. I think I have been waiting since probably episode 2 to do this episode.
Legit.
We have teased this episode so much that I'm finally glad that we finally get to do it. What we're gonna do first, like I said, if you're a first timer, we're gonna start off with our favorite, at least my favorite. I don't know about Lydia, it's my favorite, is the
I love it
black
all.
top. She said, I love it all. I particularly like the black top. So this is our segment where we talk about all things hot topics in the industry, just in the world, sports. From the stage, we talk about it all and we take it straight from the black top. So I'm gonna kick us off real quick with something that I saw in the headlines about Mr. Kenyon Barris. If you're not familiar with that name, Mr. Kenyon Barris is responsible for Blackish, for Mixish, for Grownish, for a semi okay terrible show on Netflix. What was that? What is it called? Black is Black AF.
Yeah,
It's okay. It get good right about episode 4, but it's like real awkward. It's like semi based off of his life, and it's just kind of awkward.
so is Blackish.
Yeah, but Blackish is better. It's like he wrote about himself in Black AF, and then Blackish he gave all
Yeah.
the good parts too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he is apparently making his uh feature date date day feature directorial debut. Gee, the devil's busy today.
Listen.
Directorial debut with a Richard Pryor biopic
Mm.
set at MGM. Now I'm a big Richard Pryor fan. Like,
You're black, you
uh,
better be.
you know, I was watching Harlem Nights the other night, and I was just like,
Classic.
this is just gold. This is just gold. And then so I'm an old man at heart, and I bought me a record player,
Come
vinyl record
on.
player,
Mm.
and my mom had some
I need to get
records
one.
that she had just handed down to me, and I was going through it, and I found the Car Wash soundtrack in it.
Oh, my brother.
Right?
Oh,
I
that
played
right
that.
there.
I played that joint right there. I was like,
But
let's go. I
between that
look.
and Superfly,
I also have the
oh,
Superfly. I also have the Superfly vinyl.
I'm coming over.
Actually,
Listen.
actually,
Oh,
I think I have two of them. Somehow there's two of them in the set that she gave me. Like there's two. Yeah. And so
I don't live far now. Look.
look, come on through. But I was listening to it and I was like, and remembering the movie, I was like, okay, Richard like is a staple. Like he is a pillar of black comedy and black
Oh yeah.
comedians transitioning to film, especially during that
Hmm.
era. So for me, when I heard that Kenyon was doing this, I was like, y'all ain't got nobody else.
Well,
Like that's just for me. Like I personally don't find Kenyon always funny. I feel like he forces it just a little too much, especially on Blackish. Like
himself.
Black,
Yeah.
yeah, Blackish. Now on Black AF, he definitely was just over the top for no reason.
Hmm.
And I was like, you're trying too hard. So I have faith that it can be done. I haven't seen much evidence of him bringing that Richard Pryor. Now, if he, there's only one person I think who can play Richard Pryor effectively, and that's Mike Epps. That's my like top choice is
Hmm.
Mike Epps on that one. So we'll see. I mean, it only time will tell. I mean, last week we talked about. Oh, so okay, so it is different from the one that Mike Epps is attached to, where
Right.
he is playing. This one was the 2016 film, and
Yeah.
I think that was Lee Daniels, uh,
Yes.
and Eddie Murphy and Kate Hudson. All those people were attached to that.
Hmm.
So, like I said, only time will tell. Mm, we'll see.
I mean, just on that regard, I mean, he's not playing Richard Pryor, so that's
Oh
one part
God,
about
no,
it.
no. Mm-mm,
So, I mean, the good thing that Kenya has is putting people to get like, okay, Black AF,
mm-mm.
besides Rashida, I mean, the kids could have, tried,
They could
but
have
I
kept that.
mean, but
Could have left
yeah,
the kids.
Blackish is it's good. It's good stuff too. I mean, I stand. I'm gonna let y'all know. Tracy Ellis Ross,
Oh yeah.
Spirit Animal.
Whew.
That's oh,
Mm,
listen, I'm sweating now just
yes.
thinking about it. Um,
Fine.
and then you got Lawrence Fishburne, Larry, the Queen herself, Jennifer Lewis, and
I
then
just
all the
want to.
kids themselves. Like they're
I
literally
just
just
want a
making
master
that
class with
happen.
Jennifer Lewis.
I just want to have listen. I just want to have drunk tea with her. Like she
Not
just
even
looks like
drunk
she would
tea.
just
Can we bring out the hard liquor?
like just legit. And she, oh my gosh, like she just seemed like she would just be just give you gems,
Oh
and you
yeah.
just have to be there and be like, uh-huh. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, we're gonna see what happens with that because Richard Pryor was certainly a, like you said, just a king of comedy, like
Yeah.
legit a pillar of comedy from which folks like Eddie Murphy, Chris
Hmm.
Rock, Dave Chappelle, like all of them legit
Come
looked at
from.
him. And Red Fox, it literally, if you looked at all the people in Harlem Nights, it's like
Yeah.
that was a premier just example of, oh, black goodness, black
Yeah.
magic. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So let's
black,
just
black.
hope and pray that our black brother, Mr. Barris, that he can, do it justice.
Let's keep him in our
And
prayers. Let's put him
let's
on the
let's
prayer list.
help him, bless him.
So in that same vein, we're gonna switch over to another person, Mr. Tyler Perry himself,
Mm-hmm.
aka Mr. Tyler Perry Studios, aka Miss Medea himself, herself, whichever one. Uh,
Themselves. There we go.
himself. There was a big thing. I want to say about a couple months ago when right before COVID really started kicking our butts,
Mm-hmm.
where he had posted this video or picture and was like, I wrote all these scripts and all these things because he has sisters, he has
Bruh.
bruh
Mm-hmm.
and what's
The
the
Oval.
Oval
Mm-hmm.
and Have and Have Nots is still going on and
Yep.
all
Still,
these
I
different
think the
projects
Pains
going on.
came back. Yep.
Yeah, the Pains came back. And he was talking about, I wrote all these, I direct all these, I'm producing all these. And a lot of people were like, so you're not allowing people in the room? Like you're not allowing any type of new age influence, just nothing. And so he got a lot of flack for that because he essentially doesn't use a writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you know good TV, like I think some of y'all know good TV, like Shonda. Shonda has an entire writer's room,
Issa
which,
has
Issa,
a writer's
you
room.
know,
Kanye has a writer's room. It
yeah,
is a must.
it is a must because you have to have sounding boards to bounce ideas off. Some of these episodes that I've seen of The Oval and Sisters, I'm like, did you run that across a couple people before you put that out? Because watching somebody hysterically cry on screen after a scene is done for an additional 3 minutes is unnecessary.
Right.
Just unnecessary. And so he a while back had insinuated that he may start utilizing writers' rooms and new directors. Can we growth? Gr- say growth. Because
Let it
like you said,
grow.
like and not putting Tyler down. Tyler has built his own table which is great because he's
Oh
invited
yeah.
people to that table, like people like me and Lydia. We haven't been personally invited to the table just yet. We getting there,
No. But we
but
created our own.
we created our. But it's a space for young actors to kind of break into Hollywood and get themselves kind of seen. We saw
Yeah.
that with Taraji. We saw that with Idris.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of those people come through the Tyler Perry type productions and kind of have grown since then into
At TP
more
Tunnel.
global star. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but you need that on the other side of the table because it makes no sense just to have actors and people come through. You need other people to be directors and writers to really influence a new age of work, a new body of
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I'm available, Tyler, if you need, me and Lydia, we could tag team on the script if we need to. But
Hey.
yes, let's include, let's bring the people to the table.
Include us all. We did have a comment, Miss Sharita. She said, "Love Tyler, but different ideas are good instead of recycled stories." I remember, like,
Yes.
first seeing the plays. Like, I lived for those plays, especially once. What was it? Um, Family Reunion,
Hmm.
and literally from like beginning to end, that whole thing just gave me so much. Like, from the storyline, looking back at it now, it was just like, dang, it was so much going on. You
Yeah.
had Cora's daughter who was getting married to a crazy man, basically, who had a
Yeah.
younger daughter who had gotten, molested or whatever by the
Just all
father.
over the
Like, it was
place.
just so much, and it was just like, when you look now and you think of like the movies and stuff and what's going on, it's just like, dang, Tyler,
Yeah.
what's going on? But then,
Not.
that is some that all those things legit will have, some type of premise within
Yeah.
folks' lives, especially in the Black household. So
But he has some
yeah.
hit or misses, like the films. Now some films I'm like, okay, that was pretty dope. Like, no, was it Good
Yeah.
Deeds? Good Deeds
Once
is a good one.
once the films came out, I mean, when for somebody who knew all of the plays,
Yeah.
it was like when he started merging stories together. Like, I think um for Family Reunion, he merged like a storyline from
Yeah.
Family Reunion into that. And it was just like, looking at it, I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. No,
Yeah.
that's not that
He
character that says
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And it was just like, what are you
yeah.
doing? No.
Yeah, he merged a bunch of
So
different stuff. I
yeah,
think the
but
only one that kind of stayed true was Diary of a Mad Black
that
Woman was one that
and
stayed true to the play.
that one and Why Did I Get Married?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
sequel, they didn't need that.
I love the second one.
The second was so, that ending,
See, I'm a sucker for sequels. I love
I,
sequels.
I felt like I felt like he could have did a sequel to the sequel. There could have been a third because just the way it ended with Janet and The Rock and all, like, it was just so open ended.
It
Like,
might still happen. You never know.
we don't need it.
Oh,
I'll
see.
take I'll take a I'll take I'll take a third of Best Man, because
Oh well, that's gonna come because what's
yeah,
your name
yeah,
talking about? He's getting married. It's just like, what?
yeah, yeah. I need I
Q?
need I need that
Q's getting
third.
married?
I
Okay.
need that third. So, I mean, like I said, between these two, between King and him, I mean, they are the new generation kind of staples. So in my mind, they have a duty to continue to elevate the culture,
Oh, for
and
sure.
push it
Because
forward.
they're
So,
they're there. Yeah.
yeah, so,
They're in that premise.
mm. All right, girl, it's on you. What you got? What you got?
All right. So there was a recent series called The Mecca that wowed at the Afrotech world. It's a virtual summit that was going on, and it was made by a gentleman called Tevin Scott, and he was a sophomore at Howard University at the time that he created it. And it's based on his personal experiences from, being at a HBCU. And he said that it's from like Insecure meets A Different World. Well, I was just like, oh yeah, that's what got me. And interestingly enough, I mean, having that kind of storyline. I mean, we had stuff like The Quad, which he worked on.
Hmm.
You had stuff like Drumline. It's like you get somewhat of a glimpse of what it is like to be on a HBCU. And I think we talked about it. Like, I didn't go to HBCU, but I had
No,
enough.
same.
I had friends and family that did. From where my school was, I was like 50 minutes from Nashville. So going to Tennessee State, that was like, nothing. Getting together with their gospel choir a couple of times
Come on,
with our
gospel
school.
choir.
Like we used to, oh yeah, we used to merge, and make it happen in Nashville. But yeah, I mean that experience, honing in on the HBCU
Yeah.
campus is so rich. And I'm hoping that, I mean, with most folks that were alumni, they fight to keep them open. It's
Yeah.
always stricken by, um, financial, loss and things for a
Hmm.
lot of institutions. Like I know here in Atlanta, Morris Brown. If I'm not mistaken, it said that people were urging for it to get reopened here in the next school year.
Yeah, so they're in the process right now
Okay,
so they've passed through the first round of getting their accreditation back.
good.
So that's good. I have a very good friend from growing up. Her mom went to Morris Brown, and she kind of grew up around that culture and whatnot.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, HBCUs have a great staple in the country, as well as just Black history in general. Like you said, you didn't
right.
go to one, I didn't go to one. It's funny, I almost went to Tuskegee and Tennessee State. I had applied to both of them.
Oh wow.
Um, and I remember doing my college tours, and uh, I went to the calf at Tennessee State,
Hmm.
as a junior in high school, and I got my big mom with my mom, and them lunch ladies, baby, you
They're so nice.
look, that extra piece
Oh.
of cornbread. No wonder I was weighing two something. They giving hefty spoonfuls of mac and cheese, and I think we were on the Friday, so they got fish Friday. I'm like, I want to go here just for the food. I don't care
Yeah.
what y'all academics looking like right now.
Yeah. So
But no,
that was almost my
that's
life
important.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
I
important.
I applied to TSU, to Hampton,
Okay,
Kentucky
the other
State.
HU.
Right, Kentucky State. And there was one other one. Because for my church, they used to take us on college tours.
Mm,
It's one year they took us to Nashville, so we got to visit Fisk,
okay.
Lemoyne Owens, TSU, and somewhere in there, like they wanted us to, see Vanderbilt just to see the campus, and it didn't work out. I was like, it's fine. We
No,
just
don't
got
go
to
to
look at the.
Vanderbilt. Nobody. They don't like us. I'm letting you know
Well,
now. I took my tour there, and it was the most uncomfortable situation I've
well,
ever put myself in.
that was almost the same for us when we came here. So we one year we went to Nashville, and then that next year we actually came here to
Mm,
Atlanta, and we visited Emory. We visited, of course, Spelman Morehouse,
mm,
and then we went to Clark that next morning after we visited, some of the same Spellhouse. And the guide, I don't know if it was because it was 9 o'clock in the morning, but it was like she literally was like, "Oh, that's the science building, that's the dining hall, that's finance. If y'all have any questions, y'all just let me know." And we barely moved. Like we got off the van, we stepped like I can't remember. It was like right there in front of, I think there. Matter of fact, now knowing it's like the theater building that connects from, like, Morehouse is this way. The building was right
mm.
there, and she was like, "If y'all have any questions, y'all just let me know." I'm
Oh,
asking. I was like, "Can we get
go
a new
back to
guide?
bed.
Can we get
Go
a
back.
new guide?" Like that's a
Right.
question, because literally, I mean, I remember like seeing the campus and knowing like other folks that had been there. Like I had a good friend there, and I was like, "Dang!" Like he was saying like, "Oh, it's dope down here." I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't
yeah.
see the dopeness. I see a
I
lot
see
of us, but
laziness.
right. But I was like, I don't know what she's giving us, but nah, stuff like that. Like it was a great experience just to see us,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
off and being on the step team at the time. Some old friends, we were on a team together. Like a few of us were on a team together at school and also at our church. So most of our guys were Greek. And I remember one of the guys at, I think we are at Fisk. He was an alpha, and he challenged us, and he was just like, "So I heard y'all some steppers. So how do y'all really know how to step? What y'all be doing, like some flags?" And we was like, "No, like we want
Ooh,
like."
Like, don't
We
try it.
our church step team, like we were G5G, glorify God. Like we literally were in
Come on,
competitions.
G5G.
We were winning them things, like coming through with the army fatigue, like coming through the church sanctuary talking about who is it,
Stepping the
Jesus? Like stepping for
stepping the
Jesus.
devil out.
Listen,
Curb stomping the devil.
and we let him know. Like we showed, matter of fact, we showed him a couple of his steps, and he was just like, "Oh, who been teaching y'all?" Da, 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 da. So,
Oh Lord.
but yeah, so shout out to Tevin Scott. You can catch the show with the episodes on IGTV at the Mecca and also on YouTube and on its website. So yeah, check that out, y'all.
All right, y'all. Well, that was our black top. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So Lydia, what do we got for the people today for our table read for today? What we got?
The table read is Shift the Focus. Black Stories Matter. Y'all, it is the time of, not only say the time of the year, it's been time. It's been overtime for us to get out here to create these stories and for them to be presented for the people to experience. Yes, we were just talking about, folks like Issa Rae, King A. Barris. We'll throw in an Ava DuVernay in there. We'll throw in Shonda Rhimes.
Mm-hmm.
All of these wonderful Black people. And there are plenty of creators of color that have pushed out their creation of stories for us as an audience to experience. And I think where it gets shaded is where we have these stories and sometimes they won't get greenlit. Sometimes people, like smaller artists, they may think like, oh, I had this story, but nobody's going to want to hear this, or I got this story and I'm going to just keep it at a local, level. And it's just like, no, because you don't know who was going to want to see that. You don't know who's going to, give life from that. So that's literally like the main point that we want to push off is that our stories do matter, and that especially during a time like this where the industry is starting to open back up, and I mean for more so on the film side, theater, it's starting to trek back in there. I know here in Atlanta there's some of the theaters that finally got a system in place where most of them, they're not, of course, like getting their shows together until next year.
Yeah.
And that's together with like drama summer camps and things like that. But as far as working, they have in place where I know for one theater they have like a level system, and I think level A is where the actors will come to the theater. Everybody will be, maxed up and probably have like little shields. They'll perform the show, and it'll be depending on the audience or the capacity rather. It'll be 20 to 25 people to be allowed, 25%, I'm sorry. And level B, which I'm thinking is if there may have been like a case or two, they'll say, okay, the actors will still come in and they'll record the show and they'll have less people to come in. And then with level C, the actors won't come into the theater, but they'll still get the show. They'll basically still have their ticket to be graced, and they'll still get to experience the show. And the good thing is throughout all of this, it won't have to be a thing of, oh no, we got cases, we had to cancel the show. Literally the actors will still be paid. If it's weekly, it'll still be, you'll still be blessed in that way. So that's a good part about it. But just on that regard, the stories that we tell from here on out. I was talking with a friend about, here in Atlanta, the theater industry it's not huge, but it's not small either. And for other places, like he's in LA, and he's like, in LA, it's definitely, it's film town, it's Hollywood, that you'll see theaters, but they may be like, small black boxes, but you still have those folks that still fiend for new works. They fiend for like, oh, that just that live aspect versus just always looking in front of a screen and being like, okay, well, who's doing this new film? They want to see new things. They want to see new, fresh faces. And it's almost just to say, like, I wish that same thing could kind of just like drive over into the big theaters too. And I think a big part of it is kind of not having, enough faith in, I guess, newer stories. But it's almost just like if you got good folks that you've either, had working your theaters, and you trust their work on stage. It's almost as like if they come with something, I mean, of course, everybody doesn't can be a like they can't like pin the next best story, but it's almost just like if you don't give it a chance, then you won't know.
Yeah,
So if
that's
we're
true.
still here looking at like how Broadway does, like you have shows that have been on Broadway for years and
I'm,
they have
I think
contracts to
I think
literally
Wicked
be.
is I think Wicked is run its course.
And you know what, it's like that can also bear a question. It's like, okay, with Broadway, yeah, it's dark now, but opening back up is like, are they going to, I mean, of course they're going to have to like make all that money back, but
And then
would
some.
that can honestly be a push for them? It's just like, put on more new works in these theaters, because it's like, yeah, you have your Lion King, you got Wicked, you got um
But it's
Phantom of the Opera, like you got all these shows that have been there, and it's just
it's not
like,
even new
okay,
work sometimes. It's like recycled works because there was a big
yeah.
uproar I saw on I want to say it was what was it? It was like TikTok or something like that.
Hmm.
And the Music Man was supposed to with Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster was supposed to be opening this year.
Yeah.
Actually back in March, I think.
Hmm.
And people are like, "Why do we need a revival of the Music Man?" Like, why? What is the point?
Yeah.
And then even there was a report that after COVID is done and Broadway does open, that they would revive yet another YT show that and I'm just like,
Yeah.
y'all can't find nothing. And
Nothing else.
so
Yeah.
and so one thing that me and Lydia talked about when we were putting this together was just kind of retracing ourselves first, because I think a lot of times when you're thinking of what to create and how to create you and how to represent you, you kind of have to look back where you come from, and a lot of our stories come back, way back as far as like southern,
Yeah.
experiences. We do still have a lot of ties to slavery, sharecropping, Jim Crow, segregation. A lot of our stories come through struggle,
Mm.
and a lot of times producers and YT writers, uh every time I say YT, you want to laugh.
Because I saw it earlier today on another friend's post, and I was like, "What the hell is
What is
YT?" And then, like
YT?
looking at, it, I was
White,
like,
white,
"White? Oh,
like
okay."
white
Because I
bread,
always
like white
say,
rice.
no, because I always say wonderful or beautiful. I say this to my students too, because somebody else told me like a long, long time ago, and I was like, "What?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, wonderful people, beautiful people." I'm like,
ah,
"Oh,
ah.
that's a cute way to
See,
go about it."
one
Yeah.
so stories that wonderful people create uh are become exploitation of our struggle.
Mm.
Um, you see this a lot of times with Once on This Island, kind of is comes from a place of struggle. Color Purple comes you know
Hmm.
from the movie, but even that movie comes through in some cases through struggle.
Hmm.
And so,
Let me
one
seek
thing that we
happiness.
no, where the joy at?
Right.
Black boy joy, or black girl joy for that matter. Just joy in general.
Yeah.
And we looked at this. We talked about the Chitlin Circuit, me and you, and
Hmm.
just how that was how we went about being able to perform. Because ain't wasn't nobody trying to see us back in them days. They were like, "Y'all still slaves, ain't y'all? Y'all, no, y'all don't belong in these spaces." I mean, you saw it with people like Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown, Lil Richard. Like you saw people having to go to these, backwater venues in some cases if you're in the South and whatnot, and
Hmm.
perform. But you also had people like the Cap Callaways and the Duke Ellingtons doing the Cotton Clubs and the
Hmm.
the the Apollo and the Savor Ballroom, like all these places, but still coming from a place of struggle.
Yeah.
And for a while, it's bothered me because you have people. There's a reason that we put his name in the blacktop, so we're gonna break him back out. You have people like Tyler, who, like we said, has built himself an empire.
Yeah.
He's created a table, and it's great, and I love it. I'm People think when I talk about him and criticize him, it's from a place of hating, and it's like, nah. It's not from a place of hating. It's a place of seeing what could be because
Hmm.
other people are doing it and going, you can do it as well. I see your potential. But a lot of his plays and movies still come from a place of struggle
Yes.
and from a place of really drudged up stereotypes and tropes. Like I had to look. I showed this to Lydia the other day. I looked up this thing called a Black Index, and it's an index of tropes about Black people in the TV and film industry. And so, one of them, the very first one, is African terrorist.
Hate to see
And the
it.
description says a sub-Saharan African terrorist, often carrying out guerrilla operations and may be working for someone else.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah. Ambiguously black or brown
Yeah.
when characters have brown skin, but it's unclear where they're from. Angry black man. Bald black leader. And sometimes them two go together. Cause it's like you remember the guy from Diary of a Mad Black Woman. He was black, bald, and a lawyer. Like and
Oh
angry.
yes. Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't know. Did you watch the Boondocks when it was like
No.
on? So the
No.
Boondocks, they did this one episode that pissed Tyler off so bad because it talked about that very thing. It's like, we get a lot of these things where, there's an angry bald black guy who is abusive to his wife and he leaves her, but then she falls in love with this ex-convict gardener who doesn't wear a shirt and he's light skinned, but she doesn't know if she can trust him, but then she gives him uh the marriage one more chance to succeed, and but then the black bald man tries to hit her, and it's like, yeah, this kind of tracks. And then all of a sudden, a Medea type character comes out with a gun and starts dancing and
Oh,
shooting.
I remember seeing a clip like that. Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they called your card, bruh. Called your card. And although his empire is built on that, it's still built from these tropes that
Yeah.
don't serve us anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been having a real struggle with is watching some of his shows and whatnot. I see what he's trying to do, but even still, it's still like small things that continue to be put out to the public of this is how we are as a culture.
Mm.
And people who aren't us
Beautiful people. Hmm.
uh latch onto that, and it's like, oh, this is how y'all act. This is how y'all
Mm.
are. This is where y'all come from. Not that I am an educated black man with 2 degrees, uh not that I'm an actor, not that I'm a creator, but that I probably grew up. They'll latch onto the fact that I come from a single parent household, that I grew up in the hood or whatever you want to call it, and I speak Ebonics from time to time, depending on who I'm around.
Slang.
Slang, that ghetto talk. And it's like, I wish more creatives would, like our title says, shift the focus.
Mm.
Um, and we talked about this with Jingle Jangle. Did you watch it yet?
No, not yet.
Okay,
I'm
I
waiting.
didn't. I haven't. Yeah, I'm waiting for movie night.
Yeah.
With the lady.
Yeah, same.
But just from what
With my
I've
man.
heard,
Yeah.
I mean, hair, hair. Can we just talk
Yeah.
about hair for a minute? The
I feel
hair
yeah.
is the most important part of our culture. It is who we identify. It's how we
It's how
express
we
ourselves.
express ourselves.
You
Yeah.
know, I see a lady every week with different hair, and I love every minute of it. Me sometimes it's cut short. Me sometimes it's grown out. One day I may show up bald. Who knows?
Well, hey.
It's my choice. I
Yeah.
can do what I want. Uh, but it is the fact that they took time
Hmm.
to really do research, really dive into hair that fits that time period, but also helps to identify these people as their black essence.
Right.
And I think that's important because you have a lot of productions, even with Tyler,
Hmm.
even with some of these other things, where it's like y'all threw all as what Vern say, the Holly Berry shake and go wig.
The little 27-piece type.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just all right, girl.
Look.
Look, they just called to meet them at the Cracker Barrel for brunch. Let me go and throw this on. Uh, but but that's what I'm saying. Like you have productions like that that don't take that type of time.
Yeah.
Um, and I just from what I saw when I heard the hair was on point, I was like, say no more. I will
Hmm.
watch. I will support you.
And just knowing that the folks, well, I mean, that's just important, period. Having folks on set to know how to do your hair. Like that has literally been a ongoing struggle
Mm-hmm.
for such a while, where you're on these productions and it's like, here you are, you have your natural hair, and they're just like, um, I can like, um, wait a minute, and they like get a comb, and it's just like, it's dry. You don't want to do it when it's dry, and they're
You
just like,
trying to
oh,
fry me?
I'm so sorry. Let me hold on, and they just like panic,
Freak.
and it's just like, what's going on? What's happening? So yeah, like it's I can tell that that was definitely on point, where you got the
Hmm.
folks that did their research, kind of like same thing with Black Panther. Like
Yeah.
you had folks on set that were there, and it was just like, not only do we have the picture to reference from, but we got the folks who know how to do it.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and that's so important. You have to have us in the room, and I think that's another key piece about it. You can't just be like, we want to do a black story, let's just do it, and we'll
Let's
wing it.
right,
And we talked about that
right.
when I told you about Black and Blue. Like when I found out who wrote that, I was like, this makes so much sense. Why this movie sucked? Because you had nobody in the room that went, yeah, that's not how New Orleans like is even set up. Like
I still didn't even see like where they filmed it. Like that was not New Orleans. If it
it was
was, that
not.
was like
That's the thing about
that,
it. If
that
it
was
had
not New
been New
Orleans.
Orleans, even NCIS New Orleans shows clearly like Bourbon Street every once in a while, so you know,
Yeah.
hey, this
Somebody
is where
walking
we
down the street
are.
eating a po' boy.
You know, Cafe Du
Yeah.
Monde. You know, just like show
Hmm.
something that lets me know. Like they didn't go nowhere to get a beignet at no point during the movie
At all.
at all. And so that's what I was like, you have to have us in the room because it makes so much sense. But also, it's funny um I don't know if anybody watching this watches this show, but I'm a big Dear White People fan. When the film
Hmm.
came out, I was like, this is genius. Like
Right.
this is great. And then they have the series on Netflix, and I can't remember if it was season 3. It was season 3. They
Hmm.
had where they're basically talking about just kind of what we're talking about now, black stories, and they always have like these parodies, kind of like Insecure, like these TV parodies that they watch and whatnot. And
Yeah.
one of the things that they did a parody about was Sam, who is the main character, played by London, the actress London. I can't think of her last name. Uh,
Logan Brownie.
Logan. Oh, good. What did I say? London. Ooh, child. Whoo, whoo. I don't even know nobody's
That's all we
name.
have.
Thank you, Logan. But Logan, she's a filmmaker in the series, and she was picking who she wanted to mentor with, and so she had uh one filmmaker who was almost like a Spike Lee, who was played by Laverne Cox, and then you had another
Yeah.
one who was kind of parodied like Tyler Perry, and he had
Hmm.
his own type of character, was like Mr. Griggets or something. It was kind of like one of these like backwater Chitlin Circuit type character trope people.
Yeah.
And she just would not, she did not want to work with him. She was like, "You're a disgrace to the culture and all that." And meanwhile, she finally does get to work with her mentor that she wants to, which is the Laverne Cox's character, and they're just all over the place, like just.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question for me, and I'll pose it to you, is it better to create our own style of filmmaking, or do we take the approaches that are already being implemented and flip it on its head? Because basically what they were trying to argue was like with Spike, a lot of times his style is comes from the Wonderful People or European approach to
Yeah.
things, to building his empire. Whereas even though Tyler is going through more of the Chitlin Circuit type things, it's going through our ancestry through
Mm-hmm.
that way and creating his own way of doing things and his own empire. So I don't know. What do you think about that? I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, you mean like more like the view? Because I know like with Spike Lee, of course, like when he has like the more of the close-ups, the black and white, the
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Spike.
pan where's
Yeah, I think Spike implements more like film noir type essence.
oh yeah,
With
French,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like
I love it.
with Spike, his stories, although black, still have that essence of European type filmmaking that you learn in school and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Whereas Tyler strictly comes from his storytelling comes from us, stuff that we talk
Yeah,
about, sitting around at grandmama's house type stuff, just
yeah,
listening to the phone conversations.
yeah,
So for me, I think they're both important.
yeah,
Now, I think there's a way to channel both while not taking us back, but going forward.
yeah.
I just I wonder if they know that.
And I know Spike Lee has definitely had his hangups with Tyler Perry.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I mean, it just goes into two powerful black men, directors, producers, actors,
Hmm.
who do what any of us are trying to do, is basically making their own lanes. You can pinpoint a Spike Lee joint. You can pinpoint a Tyler Perry creation.
Yeah.
So it's more so of like, take what you know and, apply it. Um, yeah, I feel like in some cases with Tyler Perry going through, the Chitlin circuit, I mean, that's literally what he had to do. Like, he didn't go to film school like Spike Lee did. He didn't
Sure.
have, that knowledge of what to do behind the camera. He basically just, winged it to an extent
Yeah.
and found the backing by, creating something or creating characters from, family members. And then with Spike
Hmm.
Lee, the good thing with his is, he took essentially in the same way. I mean, he looked around in his neighborhood and was just like, this is Brooklyn. How do I know Brooklyn? Because I am Brooklyn. And literally just introduced the world to Bed-Stuy and introduce him to the stoop.
Brooklyn.
You got
Yeah.
you got Crooklyn, you got She's Gotta Have It, you got um oh gosh, they just had the anniversary for it not too long ago.
Do the
um
right thing.
Do the Right Thing. So it's
School.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, School Days, oh my gosh. So it's like you have their way, you have all these, I mean, even thinking about the gentleman that created like Moonlight,
Yeah.
you have like that different view, and it's almost like,
Even Lee Daniels. We
oh
forget Lee
yeah,
Daniels all the
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah. And it's like you take all of them and it's kind of like you going with one or the other. You shouldn't just like you said, all of them are important because they've basically taken their own twist onto, filmmaking,
Hmm.
storytelling, and made it, profitable, made it relatable. And I think, like I said, like the big part of it is just making your voice heard, and even taking like, for anybody that's been watching Lovecraft Country, like
I
if
need
you
to
are
stop.
into sci-fi, if you're into just black stories, if you're into mystery, thriller, suspense, it literally has all of that, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get all of that in the very first episode. it's
Mm,
it's so good, but it's and it's one thing to not pack in too much into a story either, because you have so many people that are just like wordy in
mm-hmm.
stuff. Like it's just like you literally put like all of these words into these actors' mouths, and it's just like, okay, what are they saying? Like, what's the point? And stories can start off slow, or it's just like it's so much going on, and it's like 30 minutes into it, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so is are they
Where's
married? Like what's happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you
you
trying to
trying to
figure it out.
understand?
Yeah, like you still trying to so it's like, I mean, it's should you change it up? I feel like just see what works for you, you know? If you are
Yeah.
looking to create, it's almost just like see what works for you. If you want to go more on the, you know, the newer side where it's like you have folks that like you got people making films and stuff on their iPhones and Androids and stuff,
Me.
and it's literally just same, literally
Me.
here, and it's just like, hey, and it's just like you got your close up, and it's just like you got
Yeah.
your watch, you know, all of that, and you wouldn't even think like, oh, okay. You always see on the little commercials like this was made with an iPhone. It's just like it was dope, you know.
All right. Well, thank you.
So yeah, I think it's just like really going at what works for you.
And I guess I'm hard on people because I know what it's like to be a kid um watching TV and watching movies and begging for representation.
Mm,
And now being older and being a creative and being in control of certain things
yeah.
like that gives representation but also gives opportunity. I find it's my duty, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it in a way that continues to push the needle forward,
Right.
uh, not just toe the line
Hmm.
as acceptable. And we've talked about this in previous episodes. I've I've kind of moved past being a can I have type person. I
Hmm.
just can't do it anymore. Uh, it just doesn't serve. It's not a hat that I want to wear anymore,
Same.
because the wonderful people, their only option is they got it, or it's given to them. We,
Yeah.
on the other hand, we got to work a little bit harder. Eli Pope said it best. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? You have to be what? You got to be twice. You got to be what? You got to be twice as good to get half of what they got, you know? So I took that to heart. I said, all right.
Legit.
And so I challenge other people who have more money than me, who have more influence than I do, to to do that same work. There should be no reason that we shouldn't have more black central characters in sci-fi, in horror, in suspense, in dramas that isn't
Hmm.
necessarily about the struggle of being black. And that's one thing that, writing a show myself, I posed a question to a friend of mine, and I was like, is there a way to write a show that allows you to experience blackness in its purest form without the tragedy, without the trauma of it, or not even necessarily the trauma, because trauma is just a part of life.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was more so, how do you create a story for X amount of seasons, and you create a character without there being the exploitation of that tragedy.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we see a lot of times in our movies and TV where it's like, dang, they really just got us out here. And so coming to a point where it and it's, oh y'all, we done, Lydia,
Yeah, I can hear you. You're freezing up a little bit.
I can't see you.
Uh-oh. I can see you. I can hear you. Bear with us, y'all. Technical difficulties. I can see you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, is that you? Uh-oh. Hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Technology.
Lord,
Yeah,
can you see me?
I can see you.
Y'all, it says we still live. Well, no, we're
Yeah, we
not.
still live.
Not anymore.
I'm looking at us.
Yeah, it says we're still live. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. We coming back.
Don't touch that dial. Or in this case, don't
Uh-oh,
touch
hold
that back button.
on. Don't leave us.
Don't leave. Mhm. Don't leave us, Facebook.
All right, let's see. Oh no. Uh-oh.
What's it
Hold
saying
on
for
now.
you?
It's saying that we're live. At least
Yeah, I'm
on
looking at the
Zoom.
I'm looking at the post now. We're still on.
Okay, cool. So we'll just keep rolling. I don't know what's wrong on my end. I think things are just crazy, but yeah. I don't even remember what my last my thought was.
Hold
Lydia,
on.
what was my thought?
Um, well, we got past talking
I don't
about
remember what my
what you
thought
want
was.
your ideas to be. I can't remember, but
Oh yeah, I mean, neither can I. This. Oh, see now,
said, "Oh,
see
there."
now. Uh, see now. No, like I said, I think just just keeping our foot to the flames right now.
Hmm.
I don't think there is. I don't think there's room to be complacent. Yeah,
Oh
well,
no,
I think it's real
yeah,
easy right now. Um, I think it's real easy right now during a pandemic to be like, oh, okay, well, pandemic can't really do anything.
right.
But I think with the protest, with the conversations that we continuously keep having, and people wanting to have information, now is the time to continue to push that forward.
Hmm.
Um, and let us be seen in our all of our greatness.
Right.
Uh, and like I said, shift that focus. I think a lot of time, like I said, the focus has been struggle, Selma, struggle, Fruitville Station, traumatic, struggle. It's like great stories, but I'd love one time not to see somebody that looks like me shot, hung, beaten, accosted, racially profiled, or anything. I'd like to see a bit of warmth.
Yeah.
I think we owe ourselves a break from that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like allow us to use our imagination. Let's just answer your question about is
yeah,
it possible to have stories, being in the pureness of blackness and not, talk about the struggle. I feel like we could if, you know, and I think we posed this on a different episode about just changing your mindset and allowing yourself to think forward and think positive. And think about, all right, so where we are now, If we, stay in this same mindset, then we're not going to move forward at all. And it's going to be the same thing for however long. And just as long as it took us to get here, it's going to take just as long for us to get past it if people continue to think the way that they do, continue to react the way that they do. And I think it's on that same case of, us with our stories is, yeah, us as people of color, struggle is our middle name, but it doesn't mean that you have to go by that name.
Yeah.
You have a first name. You are Jarius. I am Lydia. We can legit put ourselves out there and let our good be known. Let our creativity shine, and yeah, allow it to push through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. I just to go on that sense of complacency. I mean, it definitely can't stay that way just because with something like the time we're living in now, especially with this pandemic, yeah, it is easy. It's easy just to stand back and just be like, oh well, I can't go anywhere. There's no jobs. There's nobody like really like giving out anything, and it's just like, okay, that's fine. You have go get you a notebook, go get you a pen. If you like creating that way, go write something. If you got a laptop, if you have, most of y'all have smartphones, write something in your notes, write something on your Microsoft Word. If you don't have Microsoft Word, write something in the notes on your computer. Like there's literally so many different angles that you can take to the point where it's like, shouldn't even be like that. That shouldn't even be around. That shouldn't even pop in your head, because it's like, who said that you can't?
Yeah.
Nobody said that you can't, so it goes, it goes, tenfold, but it's just on how you take it.
Yeah. So let's shift that focus, because real Black stories matter. That is Black Table Read certified. That's facts. It's been fact checked. All right, y'all. Well, that was a table read. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like I said, our stories matter. And it doesn't always have to come from a tragic or place of us coming through the struggle. We have joy and warmth and mystery about us. We have so many different layers. We like a good onion, we got good layers.
Right.
Just got to peel, just got to work the peel. So for any of our first timers, we do have one last segment that we're going to wrap up with, and that is our BTR, and that does not stand for Black Table Read, but it stands for Breathe, Think, Release. This is kind of a moment where we like to just kind of wrap it all up, leave you with a little nugget of wisdom or something to go on and have the rest of your day. So, Lydia, you got something for us today?
I do. So, my good people, if you've been with us, I mean, just to go back to what we were saying about not letting can't be in your mind. Now, all right, at the end of the day, we are all human. We are all going through this together. And it literally all depends on what you want for yourself. Now, for all of us that are creators, it definitely is a time for us to kind of take this time to push out all that we can. Anything that you call yourself not having time for because you're like, oh, I got a rehearsal. Oh, I have this to prepare for. I got an audition for this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do that. I have, cook. I know I have a dinner to cook. I got the kids to take care of. I have all these things. And it's just like, all right, cool. Still do that. And still make time to create for yourself, even if you aren't comfortable yet. All right, boom. You still have an idea that is owed to at least come out of your mind and onto paper or onto a screen of some form, and just look at it and see if it's something that is of caliber. And if it is, show it to somebody. You don't have to shop it to a big old network yet, but at least just get it out, at least just to see where it's going to go, what you can do with it. And also just take into consideration that, we're in a time that hopefully won't last forever, because nothing does. So even, within us talking about the struggle, we as people of color, especially Black people. If there's anything that we know how to do is overcome. It is something that we have legit pushed forth generation after generation to allow ourselves to push forth past the muck, to rise up legit and make it better for ourselves. Because if you take something like a Black president moving his Black family into a White House, that's moving through the struggle. If you take something like a first Black woman getting into the White House as a vice president, that's moving through the struggle. That's overcoming. If you take two Black young artists making a way for themselves on a Facebook platform, that's pushing through the struggle, because you have people who don't even want to see your face on platforms like this. It's literally what you see for yourself and how you continue to push forth and make it seen and make it known. So yeah, y'all, that's your BTR moment. Let it manifest within you. Let it sink in. Let it hold on. And let's push forth, y'all. Let's overcome. Let's shift that focus.
For the glory of God, for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Hey.
Hit that organ one time. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for sticking with us, even with the technical difficulties today. Like I said, I really enjoy this topic. I think this is something that we can talk about for days on days on days. So if y'all want to connect with us or chat about it some more, shoot us an email. Our email, we do have an email because we legit like that. Shoot us an email at blacktableread@gmail.com. Or you can shoot us a message on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Black Table Read. We'd love to hear from you. If you got some topics that you may want us to cover, look at, or anything like that, reach out to us. But yeah, so next time we'll be here, same BTR time, same BTR channel, only on Facebook at 7:30. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you guys next time right here on Black Table Read. So take care, peace and love. Wear a mask, please, so we can get this pandemic over with.
Please, Lord.
And talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Peace.